Hello, this is Rev Dore, Jacques Patlian, teaching the science of mind from hot and muggy Sarasota, Florida today. We're going to talk about karma today. Karma is an Eastern concept of sowing and reaping, but instead of being for one lifetime, like in Christianity, it can follow you through eternity. There is much misunderstanding in the West about karma, often born of the somewhat superficial ideas of the hippie movement of the 1960s. Now, I grew to manhood in that era. I was in college during most of the 60s, and I remember well the stoners sitting on the quad on campus or in the coffee houses around the university pontificating on bad karma, man, when somebody did something not to their liking. To them, life was a lot like a bank account. You deposited good karma when you did loving and cool things, and bad karma when you screwed over somebody, became a suit, which was about the worst thing you could do then, or did something to experience bad you-know-what in the next life. Not too far from the real essence of karma, but there's a lot more to it than was taught in the that's Haight-Ashbury district of San Francisco in 1968. A better explanation is that karma is a bit like a bucket that you come into this life carrying with you. In that bucket is all the good and the not so good that has been done by your past soul experience and incarnations, if you've had any. The bucket contains the energy of your past lives or experiences and therefore colors the experience of this current life. It's a bit like putting seasoning in the stew. That's the karma. It's the seasoning. You have the opportunity to clean up this bucket by living a good, kind, and loving life, or you can say the hell with it, take a walk on the wild side, taking a sweet and tasty bucket and turning it into a mess by means of a life of lies, violence, greed, and selfishness. It's your choice. Karma doesn't determine your life, but rather it flavors it. It defines what you've done, thought, and spoken on your soul's journey to this point in time. The good news is that you can always fix a nasty bucket in a lifetime or two, or less if you use science of mind, because if you put a new cause into effect, the effects change. Cause is the cause of everything. Make a new cause, create a new effect. It isn't hell or heaven, it's just reaping what you've sown. There's no reward, no punishment in karma, as in Christian theology, no angry God or devil, just karmic justice in operation, a little bit like human justice. If you're not prepared to do the time, then don't do the crime. The language of science of mind, we would say it is the operation of divine law, or simply the law. What you do put out, you do get to experience. We do believe the soul is immortal, and although we do not teach reincarnation as such, we don't say that it isn't possible either. We don't really know for sure, and neither does anybody else, to tell you the truth. We do believe that the soul has existed before time and will live forever, so obviously it's doing something in all that time. It's my personal belief that we have eras of time spent as spirit, in spirit, and other times lived in material form on some world or another. I don't think we become animals. I don't believe in transmigration of the soul like they do in the East, but, I could be wrong about that too. Maybe I was a gecko once in my life. No one alive knows, but we'll all find out soon enough. In the science of mind view, karma can best be cleaned up by transforming your mind, as Paul suggested in Romans 12:2. Be you transformed by the renewal of your mind, he said. One of the wisest things he ever said. Changing what you think, speak, and choose to do in your life automatically changes karma, or your soul's consciousness. Cause and effect is the mother law of the universe. Therefore, what you put into cause must surely show up in the effects of your life. To check the effects, to change them, you create a new cause. Think a new thought. Doing anything else is rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, and we all know how that turned out. It's fun to think of ourselves spending a lifetime or two as a Klingon or a Ferengi or a Vulcan. then taking a vacation as pure spirit, not having to live in the constraints and messiness of physical form. Karma, or our consciousness, determines what type of experiences our soul will have. Some are probably going to be more pleasant than others, as we do reap what we have sown. The big difference is that there's no vengeance or punishment in the spiritual realm, in my view, just a returning to each of us what we've sent into mind. We don't need a divine punisher and chief like a devil because we do the job so well ourselves. That position's already filled and is filled by us. Sometimes people ask me, well, if you don't believe in a literal heaven and hell, what about reward and punishment? My answer is that those are human concepts. We keep making God and the spiritual world in our image. It's the other way around. We're made in its image. No, the universe works by law, not anger, punishment, or reward. Human beings operate that way, and we're not dealing with a human being here. We're dealing with the great architect of the universe, the great soul, the mind that is so vast to be beyond comprehension. Actions have consequences, wonderful or not so good. Words are thoughts given form, and they have great power. I'm going to repeat that. Words are thoughts given form, and they have great power. Hateful words can wound and even kill a heart and soul. Kind and loving words can bind up the worst soul wound. It has been said that the tongue is the greatest healer or the worst weapon humanity possesses, and I believe that's true. I have in my life used my tongue to wound so badly that those affected tell me the wounds are still open 40 years later. And that's one thing I really feel bad about. That most of them didn't deserve my nasty tongue, and hurting them that bad, that's the thing I feel the worst about. I have in my life used my tongue to heal the sick, give solace to the grieving, and love to the loveless. I brought great light with my heart, mind, and tongue, and have torn down the pillars of the temple with that same tongue. I have taught wisdom, truth, and empowerment with my tongue to many thousands from coast to coast and from the Caribbean to Canada. And sadly, in my youth, I hurt some very fine ladies who in their different ways loved me very much with my nasty, mean tongue. That I am a flawed man is no secret, but no shame either. We're all flawed. We're all here to learn, and my journey has been extraordinary in the height of my learning curve. I believe the Creator's pleased at my progress and smiles within me when he or she contemplates how far I've come. I think you get rewarded most for the most improved player, not necessarily the best player. I reflect on how far I have yet to go, but I do it with eagerness and anticipation. Good karma, man. You can see this in writing and print it off of wakeupandlive.net. Until we're together again, love each other, be good to each other, and bye-bye for now.